Hi all, this is an extra show tonight, a THI special, and it's covering current events. I felt I needed to say something, and we will have some details after this song. Hi all, this is the Truth, Honour and Integrity show. My name's Thomas Williams, and this is an extra show, and it's an appeal in many ways. Due to current and certain events that are ongoing at the moment. Now, there will be a full show tomorrow. I couldn't fit it in, all this in, and then do tomorrow's show, which is packed already. So we'll look forward to that. But the gist of this, and I want to make things quite clear right at the start, is that many things are going very well currently, and all is on track. But we have a slight problem that needs addressing, and this needs to be brought forward quickly. And given the fact that certain top people in the government are under heavy restraint at the moment, it was decided to use this show to make an appeal. So this is an emergency broadcast on behalf of all the people who hold America dear to their hearts. Notice I said America, not the United States. The United States of America is a corporation and recorded as USA Inc. in Delaware under the banner of operating as US government. It's not the government. Operating as government is not actual government. Our country has been hijacked by various rogue organisations and entities, literally from day one. Our history was and is a lie of massive proportions. We have had no government or constitution since 1871. Check it out yourself. Constitution of and Constitution for are not one and the same thing. With that established, we go on to why this show has been made. Often we refer in the shows, the regular shows, of stuff going on behind the scenes, which can frustrate some. They want to see the visual aspect. But I would ask, how visual would you like it to be? I always advise, be careful what you wish for. On Sunday, we sent a message direct to Mr. Trump on the tarmac, warning him of danger and preferably to not fly to Singapore, or maybe even it was China. Either way, Trump decided to go ahead and meet up with the original Asian family patsy, Kim Jong-un, to basically humiliate Trump and America in the public glare. Well, that was their plan, but that didn't work out too well for the Rothschilds-led families group, but more about that later. On Sunday, to prevent this peace meeting going ahead, a missile was launched out of the naval base of Whidbey Island in Washington State in an attempt, according to all sources, to knock Air Force One and Trump out of the sky. Due to a change of narrative between Mr. Trump and Kim Jong-un, basically a peace deal was worked out long before Trump left, and Kim went against Asian families instead, and peace broke out between the countries. Now, Trump was being flanked or guarded by rogue Black Dragon groups, so they knew exactly where he was at all times, and this is why we asked him, or pleaded with him, not to go. So to recap, some rogue elements within our own country and military fired a missile at the President of America. Just let that sink in for a minute. To some in the alternative community, or most for that matter, It will come as no surprise to the average guy on the street and many of the soldiers under their command. This idea is preposterous. But is it? This country has been under attack from within from before and since 1776, whereby we allegedly declared our independence from those meddling Brits, except most who drafted that document were British Freemasons who held alliance for them, not America. Currently, vast funds are being sieved out of our economy on military budgets, except most of it is not reaching soldiers for equipment, wages or health, but being siphoned out into black budget projects and a group called the Military Industrial Complex, who are in alliance with the Navy-led group known as SSP, as in the Secret Space Program, aka Nazi Space Program. A plethora of underground bunkers are dotted all over America, have use of advanced technology that they are denying the public the right to. Islands all over the world housing vast complexes of hardware and software, all at the American people's expense. These people, along with the bloodline families, covens and parents, who I will discuss in greater detail in tomorrow's show, have ran this world for a long time, but that is changing quietly and in some cases spectacularly, and we will go forward at a steady pace. These people have zero morals, zero compassion, zero common sense, and operate like giant batteries, sucking all the life out of the people for an end goal of world domination, more commonly known as the New World Order. George Herbert Walker Bush spit, addressing his people, not us, that they would have it in a speech back in 1990 in front of the treasonous body known as Congress. It is Congress, the same organisation that brought in the foreign-owned, the Crown, Federal Reserve Bank. That bank is not American. Never was, no matter what you were taught at school. Now, the date of the George Herbert Walker Bush New World Order speech should not be overlooked or cast out as a coincidence. These people are deliberate in their actions. The date was September the 11th. Exactly 11 years before the event that sent America into a shock-induced comatose state for many years. And only recently are many coming out of that slumber. You don't think Americans would attack Trump? Americans attacked Americans on 9/11, the evidence of which is now overwhelming to anyone with more than a few brain cells. Reality is we have a cancer within our midst at the top end of all branches of military. It pervades right through all the various agencies set up in the last 70 years, most of which are Nazi-ran, whose goals is to spy and subvert the American people. National security and homeland security are both names that have been lifted out of the SS in Nazi Germany. Same purpose, same people. America is the Fourth Reich. Researching Operation Paperclip and Operation Overcast will help those people to understand who don't. These are the same people who have done heinous experiments on people, known as MKUltra, and various other heinous research programs, all hidden from the public eye. These people are supported financially by money stolen from us via the financial skullduggery of Rockefellers, Rothschilds, DuPonts, Astors, Bushes and Saudi Group, JP Morgan, Soros, Kissinger, Cheney and many other names to mention, all at the behest of a person known as M. aka Marduk. You can tune in tomorrow for more details on him and the groups. So the war is now fully on, and we have traitors not only to America on our soil, but traitors to humanity to boot. These soulless entities care not for the precious state of life, only dark forces agendas that wish to carry out the near total genocide of humanity to the tune of 90% of us. 90%. Research Agenda 21 on the UN website, another rogue group. Many will say, I don't think they can do that. Except they wiped out 90% of Native Americans. They wiped out 90% of the cream of the nation in Russia in 1919 under the fake banner of Russian Revolution. It wasn't a revolution. It was a genocide of epic proportions which history until recently has failed to acknowledge or recognise. The Great War ongoing now is ultimately a battle of light and dark. It has been fought many times in the past when we had insufficient resources to fight back. This time it is and will be different and will be ended once and for all. There is a joke that asks, how many cabal would it take to change a light bulb? The answer is none. Why? Because they love embracing the darkness, where they can run about like the cockroaches they are, all hidden from the prying eyes of a largely unaware public gaze. For those of you who have served in the American military over the last 100 years, it saddens me greatly most of you thought you were fighting for freedom and your country. To say you were fighting for neither of those valid causes will be a shock to many. But every battlefield arena you have put your lives at risk has been at the behest of these same psychopaths playing their game of death and destruction. Nothing to do with America and its freedoms. Many of you are proud that you have medals of honour and distinction, except that is the mind-controlled programming that has allowed you to think in those terms of badges for taking part in killing people is not something an advanced society should be handing out like candy. They are badges of dishonour to our species, because we have not fought wars to defend ourselves or freedom, but cripple or eliminate countries and groups just because they get in their way of their New World Order machine. Time we gave badges out for peace, methinks. It saddens me greatly how all of you have been used in such a callous way. Many people wonder why our military haven't done something about our situation here yet. The answer is simple, and it may come as a surprise to many. They are not our military. I repeat, they are not our military. The military, or the US military as it's known, is owned on one side by the Rothschilds and the Asian families, aka the Chinese elders, or two, the Jesuits via the Vatican since the 1600s, according to them. And yet we, the American people, pay for it all. Between 700 billion and 1.1 trillion per year for something that we don't own or get use of or get any benefits out of. And yet it doesn't operate on our behalf, we the people, the ones who pay for it. American troops, in case some don't know, are not allowed to engage on American soil to defend us. Don't believe me? Check it out yourself. But those at the top end, the ones firing missiles and subverting justice, are the same people that in the last 2 years sold all American military hardware to an Asian group. Not Chinese government, I might add. I must stress that. And they have been leasing it back for the last 2 years. The trust, which is Manor World Holding Trust, has been negotiating for an end to that deal over many months now. And yet, the media people and the government and the military and the agencies all tell you we're in competition with Russia, China, etc. And here we have top brass within our military selling all our military hardware, which yet again was paid for by the American people, I might add, to the so-called enemies of our country. The reality is will come as a surprise to many. We have no enemies in other countries. None. All of them are working together just to create the illusion of division. Because at the top end of all the countries lies cabal agenda people, all colluding with one another and yet portraying they are enemies. Look at how many times America has given up so-called top secret material and vast quantities of funds and military hardware to Israel, which they then sold on to China. Some ally that. Except it's all an illusion. They all work together. Like the spy network known as Five Eyes. Actually, it's 9. Well, actually now it's 8, as we poked at least one of their eyes out. Expect others to follow. But the CIA, Mossad, MI5/6, GCHQ, the Chinese network, and would you believe it, given all the anti-Russian narrative in this country for the last 70 plus years, they work with the KGB. All working together under the Five Eyes network. They all spy on each other's countries, not for so-called secrets of military and plans, but they're all operating under the same plan. But to share the information with each country so the KGB can legally spy on Americans, and it gets round the laws of the country about spying on their own citizens. I kid you not. The Americans asked the KGB to spy on Americans so it gets round the country's laws. KGB and Langley are working together, which makes a complete mockery of Russian collusion and everything, does it not? So, what are the solutions? Well, solutions are simple, with a change of mindset. Can sometimes be easy, but often very hard, as people hold on to the lie far closely than they embrace the truth. But the question is, are you wise enough? We have a chance to make a difference to our dying day, and this is what this show's about. There's certain groups that have a chance to make a real difference, that can speed things along. And it is expected at this time that the man who's masquerading as our current president, Donald Trump, is at least trying to restore this country, our rights, our sovereignty, and in many respects, our dignity. Will he get everything right? Nope. Why? Because there's too many clowns putting their agenda-driven oar in where it doesn't belong. Time we took the oars off them and tipped the boat over. So Mr. Trump doesn't have a free rein on decision making. There are some things that have pleased us, there are some things that haven't. And this is largely because of the faction war that is going on. For those of you who are new to this show, don't understand what the factions means, then you can go to the archives of thinkdifferent.thepeoplesclub.org and check out the must listen to. It explains the whole system. But the reality is, those at the top end of all the military et al., you've all seen the evidence in the political arena. It's all theatre of bad guys exposing bad guys. It is what it is. And it all depends on which faction they are operating under as to which one they're going to throw under the bus next. So as Mr. Trump is kind of restricted, I thought I would make an appeal direct on his and the country's behalf, as I do know this show goes direct into all the known agencies and government groups, so we know it will go where it needs to. So here goes. An appeal to all military people of all levels, an appeal to all agencies on all levels, an appeal to all politicians, judges and the police, an appeal to all National Guard and all militia groups. We have in our midst a rogue cancer that has spread deep into the heart of all American lives and policies. Those in the former groups will be aware of who and what they are, and those who don't need to familiarise themselves very quickly. Regardless of whether you like Mr. Trump or you don't, regardless of which party you choose, Trump is elected, and that is a fact. It matters not when we have people in this country prepared and often above the law, acting, it seems, with total impunity, committing the most serious of crimes, and you sit back and do nothing. The time is not for sitting back and doing nothing. It is time for actions to be undertaken when it not only threatens what you all claim to hold dear, America, but the rest of the world hostage as well. So what is the precedent to go against the so-called order? Well, remember this piece. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government. laying its foundation on such principles and organising its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same objective, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. It's not only the government we need to throw off, it's the top end of the military, it's the same clowns that are operating in the agencies, it's the same clowns that are operating in the justice system and at the top end of the police force. They all need to be thrown off, because all of them are impinging on our rights, on our safety, on our happiness. But I think that it is now safe to say those boundaries have long been crossed, and it's the right of the people to abolish it. You are the people, regardless of what the Rothschilds thinks, and you have a moral duty and obligation to step down from your position in whatever organisation you are currently employed by, to do right for and by the people. So I'm appealing to all of you. You confess to love your country. You're not. You are loving the skanky mistress known as the USA Inc. America's not USA Inc. Step out and step forward. Your country, America, not USA, and its people need you now, as does the president in situ. We face a common psychopathic, satanic enemy, and it is scurrying around amongst you and wreaking havoc. Is that what you want for your friends, family, children or grandchildren? A world littered with strife, death, destruction, famine, rituals, trafficking and so on? Or build a world that revels in peace, love and harmony and abundance for all? Those at the top play the war game card as it keeps the budget rolling. But we have a solution through the Manor World Holding Trust, where you can keep all your budgets and more if you build, rebuild and harness peace. Something you've all seemed to have forgotten. We have a world that is only 5% developed, just 5%, which our military seems hell-bent on destroying and rebuilding the same 5% in war after war. It's complete insanity. Imagine a world where troops are real peacekeepers, involved in saving lives and not destroying them. A world where military is welcomed with open arms and not feared because their village is the next to be wiped off the map. A world of abundance in basic human needs, instead of you fighting to protect the people who have more money than they could spend over many lifetimes, while 60% of the planet struggles with next to nothing. A military that comes as liberators of the chains the New World Order bound us all with. It's time to be real heroes and not the fakery portrayed now. Give Trump the platform and the support structure to take these clowns on directly, as in now. Not next week, not next year, now. One day they might fire missiles at you. It's time for all the troops, given they are not working for the American people or the country, to down tools and come home. All 800 bases. But that is insubordination, you say. No, it's not. It's called doing the right thing regardless of so-called authority. If the military doesn't belong to America, why are American lives being sacrificed? All you people at the top end of those organisations I mentioned earlier, all of you are responsible, and all of you have a duty and obligation to fix it. All troops should be notified of what's going on here, and I'm certain with full knowledge many will return home and help us restore this country and then the rest of the world. Far better than collecting free oil for the Bush cartel in Iraq, Kuwait, Iran, Yemen and Syria, or far better than collecting poppies for the rogue elements within the CIA for their black budget programs in Afghanistan, chasing after Taliban. Load of bollocks that is. Come home and man the southwest border from the guerrillas, traffickers and drug lords. Come home and clean out all the upper echelons of power who are corrupt beyond all reason. We have the evidence, vast volumes of it. Most of you have already been shown it. So why are we still sitting here awaiting for you to act? Is it fear? Fear of speaking out will cost you your life. The fear of acting will cost us all our lives. You included. Yes, you with the badges and the five-sided buildings. No matter what those clowns have told you, all of you are mere pawns in their game. It's time we played our game. The Manor World Holding Trust is waiting with the 6,500 trusts that have been combined into one, and the 207 or 208 sovereignty papers for every country to be free again. Trump has received the American Declaration of Sovereignty. It doesn't require signing off, only needs to be implemented. It's all done. Sovereignty means an end to the debt slavery system, an end to taxes being stolen, an end to the looting of our country's finances and resources, an end to the American nightmare, and a chance to restore the dream. An end to incessant wars that have no purpose or end for the people, and a new beginning of hope, prosperity, abundance of necessities, and a release of new technology for the benefit of all the people. Health improvements and so much more if you in the military or the agencies gain a conscience and an inner bravery to step forward. You build it and the people will come in their droves and support it to the hilt. We've been waiting. Time to lock down this whole country and clean house. No one in and no one out until it's all completed. Time for the real heroes to step up and honour your original constitution to protect and serve the American people. Then we can reinstall a real American government for and by the people for the first time since 1871. Yours and our time has arrived. Good people doing nothing only allows genocide. It allowed the dark forces to go unchecked for far too long. Time for some short-term pain for long-term gain, rather than short-term gain and nothing left. As a Brit, it's kind of ironic that I'm addressing these issues, given the country's role in subverting American lives here for so long. But if you all showed the same determination to end the injustice that I have, then this would all be over, bar the shouting before the summer is out. It shouldn't need me as someone from a different country to tell you to do the right thing. Block the IMF, block the UN, as neither exist, as both have been dismantled by the Man World Holding Trust. Block all foreign invaders. Firing on a president's plane is an act of war. Do not fail us again. Rout out these traitors once and for all, and it's time we sang this song for real and not in illusion like currently. Make us all proud again. You have the tools, now use them. This has been the Truth, Honour and Integrity special show. My name's Thomas Williams. Bye till tomorrow.